because the Father struck down all the firstborns of the Egyptians in the middle of the night and passed over the Israelites' camp. And the first plague was the water of Egypt, and all its bodies of water being turned into blood. The Father told them to strike the water in the river Nile with the rod, and it will be turned into blood. Moshe, or Moses, and Aharon did just as the Father commanded, and all the water in the Nile was turned into blood, and the fish in the Nile died. The Nile stank, and the Egyptians could not drink water from the Nile, and there was blood all throughout the land. Ironically, when the Egyptian sorcerers cast their spells and did the same, Pharaoh's heart stiffened. He rejected them and did not take them seriously. Talking about Moshe and Aharon. The next plague, or the second plague, is the plague of the frogs, whereas the frogs came up and covered the whole land of Egypt. Again, the Father sent them, Moshe and Aharon, to Pharaoh with the demand that Pharaoh let God's people go, or he'll plague the whole country with frogs. Again, Pharaoh denied. Moshe and Aharon did as the Father commanded, and the frogs came up and covered the whole land of Egypt. But ironically, the Egyptian sorcerers and magicians did the same. And Pharaoh managed to summon Moshe and Aharon to plead with the Father on his behalf. And in effect, he would let the people go in the wilderness to sacrifice to the Lord. And Moshe and Aharon did so. But when Pharaoh would see that there was relief, he would become stubborn, harden his heart, and would not take them seriously. So the next plague, or the third plague, was the plague of the vermin, or the lice. The lice came upon man and beast, and all the dust of the earth turned into lice throughout all the land of Egypt. But this time, when Pharaoh's magicians and sorcerers tried to produce lice with their own spells, they could not. In response, they tried to convince Pharaoh that the signs and miracles can only be done by the one and only. It was done by the fingers of Jehovah. But even then, Pharaoh would become stubborn, harden his heart again, and would not take them seriously. On another day, or another morning, the Father sent Moshe and Aharon to Pharaoh as he was coming out to the water, with the demands that Pharaoh let God's people go so that they can worship the Father. But if he refused to, then the Father would let loose a mass of insects, and that these massive insects would invade his courtiers, the people and their houses, all the houses of the Egyptians, and the very ground they stood on. Again, to no surprise, Pharaoh refused again. Moshe and Aharon did as the Father commanded, and there was a heavy swarm of insects that invaded the Pharaoh palace, and the houses of his advisors. The whole land of Egypt was ruined by the insects. And again, Pharaoh managed to summon Moshe and Aharon, but this time he elected to tell them that they can go and sacrifice to the Father, but it must be within the land. Moshe and Aharon objected, and they said that they may not sacrifice what is untouchable or not allowed by the standards of the Egyptians, but that they must go a distance of 3 days in the wilderness and sacrifice as the Father commanded. Pharaoh agreed to let them go with the stipulation that the Israelites don't go far, and that Moshe and Aharon plead for him on behalf of the mass of insects that invaded the country. Again, Moshe and Aharon did so, and the Father showed him mercy. But when Pharaoh would see that there was relief, he would become stubborn, harden his heart, and he wouldn't take them seriously. Then the next plague, or the fifth plague that the Father afflicted upon Pharaoh, was the disease and pestilence he sent among their livestock, a cattle disease. For the Father warned him, if you fail to let my people go, I will strike your livestock in the fields, the horses, the asses, the camels, the cattle, and the sheep, but I will not touch none of the livestock of the Israelites. Again, Pharaoh refused. Moshe and Aharon did as the Father commanded, and the next day all the livestock of the Egyptians died, but of the livestock of the Israelites not a beast died. Pharaoh found this out and still didn't have a change of heart, but he remained stubborn, hard in his heart, and he wouldn't take him seriously. Then the Father told Moshe and Aharon to take some soot and throw it towards the sky while in the sight of Pharaoh. Elohim said it should become fine dust and cause inflammation, a breaking out of boils all across the land of Egypt. Moshe did as commanded and threw it towards the sky, and it caused inflammation, breaking out on man and beast. But even with this, Pharaoh remained stubborn, hard in his heart, and he wouldn't take it seriously. This was the sixth plague from the Father, the plague of boils that the Father brought upon the Egyptians. The next plague, or the seventh plague, was the plague of the hail and the hailstorm. The Father sent Moshe to Pharaoh to demand that he let his people go, and if not, then the Father will send all his plagues against Pharaoh, his attendees, and all his people. The Father wanted Pharaoh to know that he could have stretched his hand and stricken Pharaoh and his people any time and erased them from the face of the earth. But nevertheless, he has spared them for the purpose of showing them his power. So the Father warned Pharaoh through Moshe that if you don't let my people go around this time tomorrow, I will rain down a very heavy hail that haven't been seen in Egypt since the day was founded, and that every man and beast that is found outside, not having been brought indoors, shall perish when the hailstorm comes upon them. So the Father told Moshe, hold your arms towards the sky so that the hail may fall on the land of Egypt. Moshe did as commanded, and the Father sent thunder and hail, and fire poured down to the ground, and hail rained upon the whole land of Egypt, such as never seen before since it had become a nation. All throughout the land of Egypt, the hail struck down all that were in the open, both man and beast. Only in the regions where the Israelites dwelled, there was no hail. Again, Pharaoh managed to summon Moshe and Aharon and claimed this time, I stand guilty. The Father is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Please plead to the Father that there may be an end to all this thunder and hail, and I will let you go. You should stay no longer. And Moshe and Aharon did so. The thunder and hail ceased, but when Pharaoh would see that there was relief, he would become stubborn, hard in his heart, and he would not take them seriously. Then the Father sent Moshe and Aharon to Pharaoh again. He told them to say this time, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go that they may worship me. For if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will bring locusts on your territory. And this time his attendees was in fear, and they said to him, how long shall this one be a trap for us? Let the men go so that they may worship their father, their deity. Are you not aware of what is happening to Egypt? Or are you not aware that Egypt is lost? And Pharaoh finally agreed to let the Israelites go worship the Lord. But he said the men can go, but the children were to stay in place. Moshe or Moses objected. We will all go, young and old. We will go with our sons and daughters, our flocks and herds, for we must observe the Father festival. But Pharaoh said no, for he refused to let them go. So the Father said to Moshe, hold out your arm over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come upon the whole land of Egypt and eat up all the grasses of the land. Moshe did as commanded, and the locusts invaded all the land of Egypt and settled within the territories of Egypt in a thick mass. Never before had there been so many. They hid the entire land from view. The land was darkened. They ate up all the fruit. There was nothing green left. This was the 8th plague the Father afflicted upon Pharaoh and the Egyptians. This was the plague of the locusts. And again, Pharaoh sent for Moshe and Aharon and claimed that he was guilty before the Father, and for the Father to forgive his offenses and trespasses, and for them to plead to the Father to remove all the destruction and locusts from the land of Egypt and from their territory. Again, Moshe and Aharon did so, and the Father removed the locusts. Not a single locust remained in all the territory of Egypt. The Father showed Pharaoh mercy, but when Pharaoh would see there was relief, he would become stubborn, hard in his heart, and he wouldn't take him seriously. The next plague, or the 9th plague that the Father afflicted upon Pharaoh and the Egyptian, was the plague of darkness. The 3 days of darkness that the Father sent among all the land of Egypt, a thick darkness. People could not see one another for 3 days. No one can get up from where he was, but all the Israelites enjoy light in their dwelling. Finally, Pharaoh summoned Moshe and Aharon and eagerly told them, Go worship the Lord. Only your flocks and your herds should be left behind. Even your children may go this time. But Moses objected. You yourself must provide us with sacrifices and burnt offerings. Our own livestock too must go with us. But the Father stiffened Pharaoh's heart, and he became stubborn. He hardened his heart, and he would not agree to let them go. He then said, Pharaoh, be gone from me. Take care not to see me again, for the moment you look upon my face, you shall die. Speaking to Moshe and Aharon. Moshe then replied, You have spoken rightly. I should not see your face again. All these plagues, the Father's wonderful miracles and signs, and the back and forth with Pharaoh finally leads us to the grand finale, the Father's final plague, the plague that set the foundation for the Passover holy day that we are celebrating today, the Passover feast days, and why we are to honor, commemorate, and observe it. It is the plague and death of all the firstborn of the Egyptians, men and beasts, while the Father passed over the home of his loved ones, the chosen ones, the Israelites. The Father explained to Moshe, I will bring out one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt, and after this he shall let you go. The Father said, Towards midnight I will go forth among the Egyptians, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. To the firstborn of Pharaoh who sit on the throne, to the firstborn of the slave, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And there shall be a loud cry in all the land of Egypt, such as never been or will ever be again. Then Yah explained the instructions of the Passover feast in coordination with the Passover offerings. The Father instructed them to take a lamb without blemish, a yearling male, and keep watch over him to the 14th day of the month, and that all the congregation of the Israelites should slaughter the lamb at twilight. They should take some of the blood and put it on the doorpost and the lintel of the houses, and the blood on the houses should be a sign for you. When I see blood, I will pass over you, so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. As for the lamb, you should eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Do not eat it raw or cooked in any way with water, but roast it over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not leave any of it over until morning. If so, burn it. You should eat it sandals on your feet, staff in your hand, and you should eat it in a fast and hurried pace. It is a Passover offering to the Lord. This day should be to you one of remembrance. You should celebrate it as a festival to the Lord throughout the ages. He also instituted that in the first month, from the 14th day of the month at evening, you should eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. No leaven should be found in your house for 7 days. You should celebrate a sacred occasion on the first day and a sacred occasion on the 7th day. This is the feast of unleavened bread. So after the father explained the Passover instructions, in the middle of the night he struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn of the captive and slave, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And Pharaoh arose in the night with all his attendees and all the Egyptians, because there was a loud cry in all of Egypt, and there was no house where someone was not dead. And finally, at last, Pharaoh summons Moshe and Aharon for the last time. He stated, "Up, depart from me and my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship your father as you said. Take all your flock and your herds and be gone." So the Israelites journeyed. A mixed multitude of them went up from Egypt, with much livestock, both flocks and herds. And the nation of Israel departed from the land of Egypt. The length of time that the Israelites lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to that very day, all the rank of the Lord departed from the land of Egypt. And that be the Passover story. Happy Pesach. Have a great Passover. And with all that being said, all praise El Shaddai, Elohim, and Yahshua HaMashiach. May all praise and all glory go to the Father, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son. Amen.